2 convoys of armored trucks filled with armed men just stormed a border town in broad daylight, and just hours later, rumors started spreading El Chapo might be gone. ADX Florence confirms he's still in custody, but not everyone buys it, especially when the second convoy was spotted just a few miles south of the border, and especially as it belonged to his sons, Los Chapitos. So what exactly is going on, and why now? Let's break it all down. They aren't hiding anymore. A dozen trucks, armored, matte black, outfitted with gun turrets and narco lookouts, rolled right through Sonoita. It was broad daylight, and the convoy looked more like a private militia than a cartel crew, but there was no military insignia on the cars, no state plates either, and not one single federal unit tried to stop them. The footage wasn't even fully processed by the feds when another rumor broke. El Chapo might have escaped. It spread like wildfire. Some claimed the Mexican government was suppressing it. Others said Chapo was moved for safety after a credible threat against his prison wing in ADX Florence. Then came the twist that gave the convoy new meaning. Experts and former agents said when a Sinaloa convoy rolls that deep at the border, it's a message, nothing else. But who was the message for? The US, the rival CJNG cartel, or maybe El Mayo's faction, still at war with Chapo's sons? Because here's the thing, the last time this much muscle moved near a major port of entry, Ovidio Guzman was captured, and Culiacan exploded in retaliation.
The Mexican president has defended the military operation that captured a cartel leader, Ovidio Guzman, the son of jailed drug trafficker El Chapo. Violence erupted in Culiacan, a stronghold of the cartel. At least 19 members of the Sinaloa cartel and 10 members of the military were killed.
Now it's happening again. But in the north, what's changed? Maybe the bigger question is, what hasn't? Because even with Chapo locked away in the most secure prison in the United States, his power never actually left the streets. Now, let's dive into that sealed concrete box in Colorado, where they say El Chapo sleeps alone, eats alone, and thinks alone. But if that were really true, why are his enemies still dying? They say Joaquin El Chapo Guzman is buried alive. ADX Florence, Colorado, the so-called Alcatraz of the Rockies. Like the other inmates there, El Chapo has no contact with the outside world. And yet, his enemies still wind up dead. His sons still run Sinaloa, and convoys still roll near the border like the king is still watching. It's not paranoia. El Chapo didn't just escape once, he escaped twice. First in 2001, hidden in a laundry cart, then again in 2015, through a mile-long tunnel that opened under his shower.
Until a year ago in Mexico, someone fleeing from a house into hidden tunnels to escape the authorities was literally the subject of a movie.
But for Chapo, it was protocol. In 2014's Operation Gargoyle, Mexican Marines raided 6 homes in Culiacan, believed to be his safe houses. They found drugs, rocket launchers, thousands of rounds of ammo, and a clue.
There was the first surprise. Drugs stacked perfectly in a room. 5 rows high with packages formed in stacks of 20 by 50, giving a grand total of approximately 1,000 packages.
Then, they found the crucial evidence.
But it was this gun that gave them the first major evidence that they were closing circles. It has the initials JGL. Joaquin Guzman was one. They found the arsenal, the drugs, but not Chapo.
But El Chapo wasn't there. He had slipped away through bathtubs that opened hydraulically to reveal staircases, tunnels, and a citywide drainage escape system.
He was inside the bathrooms of the 6 houses in Culiacan. They all had the same system for escaping through the bathtub.
1 year later, in 2015, El Chapo vanished from Altiplano, one of Mexico's highest security prisons.
Como se informó la madrugada, el día de ayer, en el Centro Federal de Readaptación Social número 1, Altiplano, se registró la fuga de Joaquín Guzmán Loera, quien estaba ubicado en el área de tratamientos especiales, pasillo número 2, estancia número 20.
And the way he did it shook the world. His cell's shower floor lifted to reveal a surgically engineered escape tunnel, complete with ventilation, electric lights, and a modified motorcycle rigged to rails. That bike let his smugglers move equipment in and his body out at crazy speed.
Well, First of all, he tapped into the expertise of his gang, which has been known to build all sorts of tunnels for transporting drugs and eluding their enemies. And they started beneath a shower, one of the few places where he wasn't being monitored by video 24 hours a day. He went 33 feet straight down, and then when you look at the details of this tunnel, you see an engineering marvel.
The tunnel stretched a mile long, passed under prison security, and ended in a half-finished house purchased under the name of Emma Coronel, his wife. It was custom built just to collect him.
This is sort of the lobby, if you will, to the tunnel. The dirt that we were just standing on is right above these wooden planks. So clearly you can see that this is a well-constructed facility. Essentially, there's a generator here beside me, and the actual tunnel down to the length, the mile-long tunnel is right here.
Mexican authorities initially claimed it was an inside job involving low-level guards, but that's a lie no one in law enforcement believes anymore. That tunnel would have taken weeks, if not months, to dig. It required heavy machinery, transported close to a federal prison, with no one noticing.
Who did this work? Experts say he had knowledge of engineering and the topography of the place.
Chapo didn't escape because of one dirty guard. He escaped because everyone has a price, even inside Supermax.
No le creemos al secretario de Gobernación, no le creemos al procurador, no le creemos a Peña. No le creemos porque mi voz es parecida a la de muchos mexicanos, ¿no? Y yo que estuve adentro del penal, te puedo decir que no es un penal del cual puedas huir.
And yet, El Chapo walked his tunnels like a shadow twice. That's why rumors of his disappearance, even in 2025, are taken seriously. And if you think the tunnels were wild, wait until you see the drones, the Starlink subs, and the ports they control now. The stretch near Lukeville, Arizona, where the Sinaloa trucks were seen, isn't random. It's a high-value corridor, one of the few places where major routes, weak infrastructure, and human smuggling trails all intersect. The Sinaloa Cartel has long prioritized these border towns. With tens of thousands of migrants pouring north, cartels have monetized the flow, and that's why CJNG is circling like sharks. El Mencho's Jalisco New Generation Cartel is bolder, more violent, and hungrier than ever. As you already know, they've recently made a terrifying deal with Los Chapitos after being sworn enemies for 15 years.
78 days ago, that Los Chapitos made an alliance with the Jalisco Nueva Generacion Cartel. From the position of weakness in which Ivan Archivaldo and Jesus Alfredo and their group now find themselves, they have had to seek the support of the Jalisco Cartel.
As a result of this, they've already overtaken parts of Michoacan and Jalisco. Now they want a foothold in northern Sonora and control over U.S. access points. Then there's El Mayo's faction, the older Sinaloa loyalists still clinging to the shadows. But while those players move in secret, Los Chapitos move in daylight. Because if Los Chapitos were weakened by Ovidio and Joaquin's arrests, they're certainly not showing it. They're escalating, and as experts keep warning, evolving. Cartels have moved beyond wheelbarrows and stash houses, operating like militaries. They're building tunnels linking commercial warehouses in Texas and Arizona, funneling and into the US undetected. They deploy cheap drones carrying small payloads.
And drones are disposable and cheap compared to the value of their load, so even if you send 100 drones and only 10 make it, it's still a viable and profitable method.
They've also adopted Starlink-powered submarines. One intercepted in Colombia used a satellite antenna for remote control. No crew, no witnesses, no risk.
We know this because they just seized a submarine in Colombia that had a Starlink antenna on it for communication. Yeah, it's insane the technological improvements these submarines have seen in just the last few years.
This shift prioritizes tech and automation, minimizing loose ends. If cartels use satellite relays for subs, what's stopping them from operating inside US prisons? El Chapo's legacy: tunnels, drones, subs, lives on. He pioneered cartel tunnels. Now, Los Chapitos use high-tech tactics to expand, making their empire nearly invisible. Encrypted messaging, AI identities, and Starlink subs mean El Chapo doesn't need to escape ADX Florence. His infrastructure runs without him. It's known that major traffickers have continued to run their businesses from behind bars, including Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. He orchestrated the Sinaloa cartel from Mexican prisons and escaped twice. Now, the fear isn't escape. It's that he never needed to. Starlink on subs, encrypted devices, and underground networks let orders move faster than bullets. His ideas flow through virtual tunnels, proxies, shell companies, secure lines. The US locked his body, but his mind drives a digital cartel empire funded by billions laundered globally. While the US watches its southern border, Vancouver has become a hub for cartel expansion and Chinese money laundering.
The Sinaloa cartel and all the big cartels from Mexico, the most sophisticated actors, are starting to come into Vancouver too, and they're just using the city and the port as a massive money laundering and drug production hub, a transshipment hub for global narcotics.
Sinaloa, CJNG, Chinese triads, and Iranian networks collaborate in Canada's cities.
The worst threat networks in the world, so the Chinese Communist Party, the Mexican cartels, Iranian threat networks, Hezbollah, of course, Italian organized crime. You cracked down on it in New York City with the RICO Act. It came up to Canada. So we're just wide open.
Canada's weak anti-money laundering laws and lack of RICO statutes make it ideal for Los Chapitos.
And just to cut to the chase, we don't even have a racketeering law in Canada. Essentially, I think now, from corruption reasons, that is, there's a whole legal and political industry that's just getting rich off allowing money laundering and crime.
The Chinese Communist Party uses Canadian ports to clean cartel billions through shell companies and underground banks.
And the Chinese Communist Party, their home base for Western Hemisphere is in Canadian cities, deeply infiltrated by Chinese spies, gangsters that are used by the party.
The Mexican drug cartels are rapidly expanding in Canada.
All of this means Los Chapitos don't need to risk crossing the US border to move product or money anymore. They just go through Canada. So when a convoy moves brazenly through Sonoita, maybe it's not about that border crossing at all. Maybe it's a distraction, a show of force meant to grab headlines and divert heat. So while US agents obsess over tunnels and Texas convoys, the truth is far more dangerous because the cartel war has gone global and digital. And it's no longer about one man physically breaking out of prison. It's about what happens when that man disappears, and the whole world still follows his playbook. Here's why Chapo might want to disappear again. El Chapo doesn't need to run, but if he disappears, even symbolically, it could change everything. In cartel politics, a disappearance isn't defeat, it's a strategy. A sort of opening move in a rebrand or power shift, and history proves it. After his 2001 escape, Chapo re-emerged more powerful than ever, expanding routes, building alliances, and new, better tunnels into Arizona. His 2015 escape through a mile-long tunnel, that wasn't just defiance, it was proof of dominance over the Mexican state. Now, with CJNG growing bolder and Los Chapitos under fire from US indictments, the Sinaloa cartel might be entering its next chapter, and a symbolic disappearance might not signal weakness, it might mark a tactical reset.
See, even if you jail them, you can't take away their power. In Mexico, it is well documented that, quote, other major traffickers have continued to run their businesses from behind bars, including Joaquin El Chapo Guzman.
In a world where brand loyalty sells more than fear, El Chapo's name is still the gold standard. And if that name fades into myth, it only becomes more powerful. Every time he came back stronger, and this time, with his son's firepower, his return may be even more dangerous. And the US government knows it. As the Navy is seizing narco subs, they are promising to hunt them all.
Our message to the cartels is simple. We own the sea. You do not. We will find you, we will hunt you down, we will stop you before you reach our border, before you can smuggle these into our country.
Or as my ops boss would like to say, you can run, but you can't hide.
But while it sounds badass, the reality is that under 20% of narco subs are intercepted or caught. And regarding what happens on land, the assumption has always been that cartel violence stays on the other side of the border, and that as long as the kingpins are in cages, the empire collapses. But that's never been true, and now the lines are blurring. Canadian ports are moving dirty money. Chinese brokers are laundering cartel cash. Southern states are overrun with synthetic opioids. And in the middle of it all are Los Chapitos. 2 out of 4 are in prison, But it doesn't seem to change anything. They're still flashing gold weapons and sports cars on TikTok while maintaining one of the most profitable trafficking networks in the world. Meanwhile, inside ADX Florence, Chapo Guzman's name still carries weight, not because of what he says, but because of what he already built. Now, his legacy is snowballing. If El Chapo were to vanish again, the reaction wouldn't be relief, it would be mobilization, the kind of reshuffling that happens before a full-blown power surge, not from outside the US, but within it. Because this isn't just about making it across the border anymore. It's about an invisible empire, one that's already breached the gates. And the truth is, the first shots of a cartel war inside US borders may have already been fired.